Meanwhile, to England we go. Lots to talk about from what we saw at the weekend. Yesterday, more misery for Chelsea, of course, losing against Everton. They sit now 12th in the table. How close are they? 10 points away from the relegation zone. Here's some ramblings from Pochettino after the game, talking about the January transfer window. That is the thing to analyse with the sporting directors to see if we can change the dynamic and improve in the second half of the season. We need to be more aggressive. Then it's a massive assessment, and when the transfer window opens, we will see what we can do. I don't say if I'm going to ask for more or less players. It's to see if the perception matches the reality. We are missing something. We need to improve our reality. Good. Mario is here. Mario, Chelsea are horrible again.
Very bad. Very bad what we saw. I think, the saddest part is, of course, is that it's just unstable. And I think for anybody that watches them and anyone that has a belief in the team, it's just something that you can't put your head on, in the sense of, like, we all know, okay, when we go to Everton, it's always been a tough game. Chelsea has never had it easy when you went to Everton. I went there, and I'm sure you understand anybody else had his time at Everton. It's always tough. You get the traditional English fight mentality that you have to step up. But then Chelsea has all the talents, but sometimes I ask myself, do they understand what really is going to be asked for them? Because I'm not talking about the quality of the players, but I'm asking about the mentality and what is expected when they come into that stadium. Because the way Everton played against them, they sat back, waited for them and just hit them on the break and kept on fighting and winning every second ball and making sure they were struggling. And that's why I ask myself sometimes, like players, I give an example, Badiashile, Disasi. I'm not talking about that those are not quality players, but are they really informed, in the sense of, regardless if you played well in France, but now are they informed in what to expect when they go to that stadium? That is not going to be a normal situation that then they are going to enter and say, like, oh, we can do this. In the middle of the park, are they aware how they're going to play? With Gay and Dakure, how much energy they're going to put in the game and how they're going to attack. Things like that, those are the questions, and those are the things that has to be answered. And of course, Pochettino comes out and says, like, hey, in the winter, I'm looking at adding more quality to my squad. But I don't know if that's going to be the answer, because I think they need to focus on what they have now and then see what is needed. And it's not like you need a whole new team or like 5 new players. You maybe need one. And the one that they really have to focus on is the one that has to score them the goals.
Maybe just need another billion of money scattered around. Do you know, I did say to you last week he would have a decision to make on Thiago Silva. Mm-hmm. And he did, but that clearly didn't work. So whether he revisits that or not. On top of all his problems, Reece James's continuing injury problems and recurring injuries is a big concern, particularly for a boy of his age. And more players is just not the answer. It's a difficult one with Pochettino because the buck stops with him. But I go back to a quote from Graham Potter at a press conference many, many months ago, whatever it was. He says, if you think I'm the problem, you're wrong. Yeah. And the problem has been this scattergun signing policy that if it moved, we signed them and we gave them 7 and 8 year deals. And somebody's going to have to figure it out. I'll give you Mihailo Mudryk. Mihailo Mudryk has got a talent. But until he figures out that he'll be judged in the end product in the final third, then he's got a problem. Because he's got all the pace in the world, he's got a lot of tricks, he can drop a shoulder, he'll out-sprint you. But there's no point in doing that and getting the crowd on their feet off their chair when you get to the end zone and you shank it out of bounds or you just pick the wrong pass out. And all these things are a problem. And they're an unmitigating shambles at the moment. I mean, they were terrible at Old Trafford. Should have been beaten 6 or 7. They were terrible at Everton.
And you point to the fact, but Nkunku's coming back. But that's one player.
But Nkunku's not playing in the back four, is he? He's not playing in the middle of the park.
But what's going on? Like, you look at Enzo and Caicedo. they spent a lot of money on these players. And obviously on their day, you know, they're up there as some of the best in the world, but they just keep getting outplayed all the time.
I mean, I think Chelsea's primary need is a striker. I think we all agree on that, and maybe Nkunku coming back adds to that. First of all, if you're Everton and you, in response to you beating Chelsea, you hear Chelsea saying we need to spend more money, given you just got a 10-point deduction, you are wondering what planet is this all happening in? Everybody knew Pochettino was going to take over at Chelsea before the end of April. Everybody knew. He decided not to take up the job officially until the end of the season. Even if he was not officially signed as Chelsea manager, you have to think that he had some kind of an input into the players coming in to the Stamford Bridge door. And while they did a good job early on in moving a lot of players out, recouping a lot of that money, you can't say that anything after that was well spent. So who takes responsibility here? At some point, somebody has to take responsibility. Something has to get fixed.
One of the problems is you know, you can't absolve Pochettino of blame. You can't. He's the manager. He picks the team. He trains the players. He chooses the tactics. But there's faults. It's a bit like Man United in a sense, where it's not all Ten Hag's fault. Of course it's not. But a big chunk of it falls on him because he's the decision maker. And one of the problems that Pochettino has got is that their transfer policy, this haphazard, hapless ownership at the moment, was not... Their transfer policy was not, what do we need? It was, who can we get? Right?
Yes.
And it was, who can we get? And they went out and they got who they could. Right? If somebody else was trying to sign a player, they were sniffing around. We knew that. Right? Oh, Arsenal, oh, Liverpool, oh, you want him? You know, he might be good. Right, we'll get him. So it wasn't, what do we need? It was, who can we go out and splurge the cash on? And that has left Graham Potter before and Pochettino one of the most imbalanced, top-heavy squads ever seen in English football and maybe even European football. Yeah. So they don't need another 4 or 5 players to muddy the waters. They really don't. And so I don't know where they're going to go in terms of going forward in January and in the summer. But what we do know, if these results continue, he's probably going to be the next one to go.
Mario, there's very little hope, isn't there? There's very little bright side of this.
Yeah, it's a little hope. And I think Shaka highlighted a very good point in the sense of, like, when we knew Pochettino was going to be in charge, I still don't understand why they didn't spoke to him more and made him understand. Like, I have a feeling that he wasn't always part of the whole policy, what they were building, when they already knew they were going for him. Because I feel like sometimes, you know, Craig already highlighted, they were buying everybody. Even now, like, we're talking about striker, right? We have, Victor Osimhen. Like, everybody's watching him now. But there are more people on the board as well going after him. Okay, so things like this is you know, Tony you have too as another striker. So those are the kind of guys that everybody's watching, because everybody knows we need goals. So if Arsenal wants him, if Man United is looking at him, I am asking myself sometimes, I said it before Pochettino came in, I said they need to calm down, because if they're going to go desperately again, it's going to get another answer that they're not looking for, because you cannot give an answer to something that's just being put in front of you. Because I have a feeling that what's going to happen, that if they don't slow down and don't let his involvement speak into who is coming, they're going to have a team in the sense of, like, you have a coach in front of it and he does not know what to do with it. And I don't want that to happen again, because it happened before. Because I have a feeling that there were coaches in front of the team that they don't know what they were doing.
He has some salvation coming his way, possibly. They got a League Cup game, and then they got early January, they got Preston in the FA Cup.
Right.
And then I was looking at the next 4 league games, and it's like Sheffield United, it might be Luton, but it's four teams, certainly, that's in the bottom half of the league now. Maybe that adds some extra.
That makes it worse.
Some extra pressure. But it shouldn't really, having the squad they have, and so. If he doesn't put a run of results with these domestic league games coming up against the poorer sides in the Premier League, he's got a massive, massive problem on his hands. And so do the ownership. Because when they came in, they said, we're long-term. We're going to give Graham Potter time. They lied. Now Pochettino the same. What do they do? What do they do if these results don't turn around?